Record last class. That sucks. All right, so here's the deal. So, all right. Last time we talked about parabola, and we talked about how to move them around, right? We know that the basic parabola is going to look something like this, right? Centered at the origin, it's going to look like this. Arrows meaning it's going up and up forever, right? Not only up, but also out, right? Slightly. And we know how to make it wider, thinner. We know how to flip it upside down, right? How do we flip it upside down?
Negative.
Negative in front, right? So this right here, if I were to guess what this equation would be, I would guess it's f of x equals x squared, right? Just the basic version of the parabola, right? Notice it's squared, which is why it only is positive stuff, right? Because if we take a number and we square it, it's always going to be positive. Even if it's a negative. Negative 3 squared is 9, right? 0 squared is 0. That's as close as we can get. Nothing negative, right? Cool. So that is our parabola. If we want to change it, though, right, we can do a bunch of different things to it. So, for instance, we learned the other day that if we were to do x squared minus 4, what would that do to our parabola? In what way?
A big way.
Wouldn't it square it over a little bit?
What? Down 4? That makes sense, because if we plug in 0, right? 0 is where it starts, right? So we plug in 0, what's 0 squared? 0. And then subtract 4, we get negative 4. So 0 gets us negative 4, right? So it's going to move everything down 4, right? Whatever it was before, it's just going to be 4 less than what it was, right? So 0 is going to become down 4. If it was 2, it's going to go down to negative 2. If it was 4, it's going to go to 0, right? It's just going to move everything down 4. So that makes sense. So this is going to be a negative 4. And then it's going to be the same thing, right? So just move down 4. What did we learn Matt did? Think about it. If we plug in 0, right? Normally we get this, right? 0 squared is 0 and we're good. If you forget what this does, what's 0 minus 2?
2.
Try again. 0 minus 2, negative 2. Now square it. 4. So when we plug in 0, we get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's interesting. What happens when we plug in 1? 1 minus 2 is? Square it. So 1 gets us 1. Okay.
Makes sense.
Interesting. What about 2? 2 minus 2 is?
0.
0 squared is?
0.
So 2 gets us 0. So I go to 2, and that gets us 0. All right. What if I plug in 3? 3 minus 2 is?
Negative 1.
Try again. 3 minus 2, 1. Square it. So 3 gets us 1. Ooh, look, it's starting to go back up. What happens when we plug in 4? 4 minus 2?
2.
Square it.
2. No, square.
So look what we get.
Took me a minute.
We get that curvy thing.
We get a parabola. But what happened?
It got thinner.
At the midpoint, it curved. Like,
Everything shifted over where? 2 to the
Right.
to the right. So this shifts everything over 2 to the right. Whereas this shifted everything over 4 down, right?
I see.
So a negative inside here shifts it to the right. What do you think this is going to do?
Move it to the left.
By 2, right?
Yeah. So if
Let's try it.
is the opposite.
If we plug in negative 2 and get 0, right? Then that means that's the bottom of our parabola. It'll be over here now, right? So let's plug in negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is?
0.
0 squared is 0. So when we plug in negative 2, we get 0. The bottom of our parabola is there now. If we plug in negative 1, we get 1. 1 squared is 1, right? If we plug in negative 3, we get 1 as well. And we're done, right? So our parabola just moved over here. So shifted it 2 to the left. So it's the opposite of what you would expect, right? Negative 2 shifts it 2 to the right. Positive 2 is 2 to the left. And the reason for that is because a positive 2 takes a negative 2 to make 0, right? And a negative 2 takes positive 2 to make 0. All right, what about thinner and wider? What's that going to do to our parabola? Think about it. When we're going up, right, we go up faster if we're growing faster, right? Because it'll go from 0 is 0, right? When you plug in 0, it's 0, no big deal, right? When you plug in 1, you square it and get 1. Times an eighth is an eighth. So not very much growth, right? See how it's a little bit of growth? Less growth means it's going to be wider, right? It's going to take longer to grow, so it's going to be like this. So again, the way I want you to think is using a fraction slows our growth. So it's going to grow slowly, so it's going to be wider. Whereas here, right? If I do it 8x squared, well, at first, when I plug in 0, it's still 0, right? 0 squared is 0 times 8 is still 0, no big deal. But when I plug in 1, our regular parabola, when we plug in 1, what do we get? 1, right? 1 squared is 1. So we expect a little bit of growth. But when I plug in 1 here, I get 1, and then I times it by 8, and I get 8, right? Do you see how that grows a lot faster?
The bigger the number, the faster it grows.
Yeah, exactly, right? That makes sense, right? And the smaller the number, the slower it grows. Slow growth over time makes a wide parabola, right? And fast growth shoots off like crazy, so it's going to go up really quick.
You're gonna fall asleep.
Right? So using all of this, we've learned how to change. Did you get it? Okay, wonderful. Using all of this, we can change the shape of our parabola to wider or skinnier, right? We know how to flip it upside down, too. That one's not too hard to figure out, right? We figured out that this would get us a parabola that does the same thing as the normal one. It opens downward, right? Using all of these, we can create a formula that changes whatever, makes whatever parabola we want. So here it is. Are you ready? Let's do H. Let's see if that's everything, right? We've got stuff inside the parentheses, right? We've got that. We've got stuff on the outside. We covered stuff in front, negatives and these guys, right? I'm sorry, negatives and these guys, stuff in front, right? Looks like we got everything. There's our formula. Somebody tell me what A does. If I put a different number other than 1 in front of there, what happens? If A is greater than 1, what happens? All right, can everybody shut up and look up here? Gentlemen in the back, why are you sitting back there? You obviously can't handle it, right? I'm going to take a second, just for a second, okay? You're making really stupid choices in here, right? You're all bombing stuff, you have no idea what's going on, and so what you do is you sit far away in the back, talk, and don't pay attention the whole time, and you pretend you're smart enough to be able to do that and pass? Like, what? Like, that's just not going to, like, I'm not being mean. Like, if you're in a class, it means you don't know the stuff already, right? Which means you have to learn it. And so if you don't learn it, will you know it? No, right? That's not a mean thing to say, right? So, like, are you expecting to learn? Like, we know that's a stupid decision, right? I will learn it by not paying attention. That's just not going to happen. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be mean. It's like, we know that doesn't make any sense, so why do you do it? You're like, man, I'm in this hole. Might as well just keep digging deeper. That's not happening. Not only that, but like other teachers would find it rude that you're talking the entire time, and they'd also find it rude because then you later come in after class when I'm not getting paid and not at home, just doing whatever I want with my life, getting help. Now, I want you to come in and get help, so don't take this as a, oh, I'm mad at you. No, please come in and get help. But you know what would really work? Imagine, okay, instead of after school, right, imagine if we had time during the day when I got paid where I could like help you then. Wouldn't that freaking crazy? That'd be freaking crazy, right? We should invent that.
We should.
We'll call it class.
Whoa.
It could work. I think it could. I think it could work.
We should call it actually.
You should go
You can call it whatever you want.
Go on Shark Tank.
But it's not going to do any good if you don't actually take advantage of it. So hey. So Logan, Q. We know it's not working for you, bud. Beginning of the year's been awful, right?
I'm sure.
Go sit in the front. You go sit somewhere, right? Go find somewhere. That's cool. You want to partner up for Desmos, but until then, right? Just come up here so you can see a little better, okay? I know why you guys are back there originally. I know. I get it. I'm just saying, like right now, doesn't make much sense, right? Cool.
You're in the front.
Are we good? Yeah, not gonna make you do anything. Just a suggestion. So if you want to stay, go ahead. So, for those of us just tuning in, you're welcome, right?
I was paying attention.
All right.
Stop it, what are we talking about?
Okay, here we go.
Why'd you call it?
Hey, memory. I got this, it's all right. All right, so, x squared. That's the regular x squared function. It looks like that. It's a parabola. The reason for that is because whenever you plug something in, it's always going to come out positive, because when you square something, right, it's always going to be positive. Negative 3 squared, negative 3 times negative 3, positive number, 9, right? So it's going to come out positive. That's why it's all positive. It increases more and more as we go up, right? If you square 3, you get 9. That's a pretty big change, right? You square 1, well, you get 1. That's not a lot of change. So the bigger the number is, when you square it, it's going to be even bigger afterwards, right? So it increases fast, right? That's why it bends instead of a straight line. Lines always go up by the same amount, right? If you go over 3, you go up 2. If you go over 3, you go up 2, right? This, if I go over 3, I'm going up 9, because that's squared. I go over 4, I'm going up 16, right? It changes a lot. Same thing, right? X squared, but now I did minus 4 to it. That moves everything down 4. Here's why. When we plugged in 0, what's 0 squared? What's 0 squared? 0, right? So I plug in 0 here, right? I would normally get 0, 0. I plug in 0, what's 0 squared? 0, subtract 4. So when I plug in 0, now I get negative 4. Here I plugged in 0 and I got 0. Here I plug in 0, I get negative 4. So you see how it just shifts everything down? Right? When I plug in 2 over here, I get 4. When I plug in 2 over here, I get 4 minus 4, which is 0. So it gives me 0. So it's just moving everything down. Everything's going to be 4 less than what it was before, so it's 4 down, right? Kind of like a y-intercept as well. Remember our lines, the y-intercept? It's where it hits the y-axis. Here, inside the parentheses, minus 2 actually sends it to the right 2. And the reason for that is when you plug in 0 here, 0 minus 2 is negative 2, square it, you get 4. So 0 gets us 4. If I plug in 2, though, what happens? 2 minus 2 is 0, 0 squared is 0. So 2 gets us 0 in this case. So now our 0, our bottom, our vertex of our parabola is over 2. Because when we plug in 2, we get 0. Right? Here, if I plug in negative 2, I get 0. So it moves to the left. So it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Negative 2 moves it to the right 2, positive 2 moves to the left 2. If I times it by an eighth, remember, how fast it grows is how wide it is, right? If it's super fast growth, it's going to go like that. If it's really slow growth, it's going to slowly grow, right? This guy's times an eighth. So I do the regular x squared thing, right? But then I times it by a fraction, which makes it smaller, right? So I grow really slowly. Does that make sense? When I plug in a really big number, yeah, it's going to be really big, but then I cut it by an eighth, right? So it makes it slower growth than what this guy would be. Whereas I times it by 8, right? Normally I plug in 1, I get 1 squared, which is 1, right? Boring. Here I plug in 1, I get an eighth, very little growth, right? Here I plug in 1, I square it, get 1. Times it by 8, I get 8. So 1 gets me 8. So you see how it grows a lot faster, right? Everything that pops out is going to be 8 times bigger, so it's going to grow a lot faster. So a really big number, really thin parabola, right? It grows really quickly. If I put a negative in front, it just flips it, because before it was all positive, right? But now I'm saying after you square it, make it negative, right? So after you do the regular thing, make it negative. Are you with me now, Shambach? Okay. So if we combine all those things, stuff on the outside, right, in front of the x squared, we got all those, right? We also have stuff on the inside, and then we have a number on the end, right, that we're subtracting or adding. What we get is this formula. This is A, stands for the numbers on the outside. Numbers like 8 or an eighth or a minus sign, any of that, right? In here, H, that's the stuff in the middle, right? That's going to move it left or right. Okay? Positive, negative. And then we have the number on the outside, which is kind of like the y-intercept, right? -4 puts it down 4, +4 moves it up 4. So when a is greater than 1, we've got something like this, right? A is 2. What does that do to our parabola if a is greater than 1? Our regular one's like this. If I put a 2 in front of it, what's going to happen? What'd you say?
Multiply.
Yeah, it's going to multiply by 2. So everything's going to get double, meaning it's going to increase faster, right? So our parabola shrinks. Or it, I don't know. What do you want? Parabola thinner? How about that? If a is less than 1, but it's also greater than 0. So if it's between 0 and 1, so it's not negative, right? Between 0 and 1, it's a fraction, like an eighth, quarter, right? What happens to our parabola? If we times it by a quarter to start out, is it going to shoot up faster or is it going to shoot up slower? Slower, right? Because we times it by a quarter. When we go by 1 to the right, we're only going to go a quarter up, right? Over 2, we're only going a little 1, right? So this is going to be parabola wider. What if a is less than 0? So that means negative numbers. What's that going to do if we put a negative number in front? And it's going to open up downwards, right? But what if it's less than 0, but still greater than -1? It's going to open down. Is it going to open down wide or open down really fast, like skinny? We're talking a fraction, right? Like -1/4, right? So if I did that to it, right, a quarter makes it wide. So what's -1/4 going to do? It's going to go down and what? Wider thin. Regular quarter is up and wide, right? So -1/4 is going to be what? Down and wide, right? Open down and wide. Okay. If a is less than -1, that's numbers like -2, -3, -4, -5, right? That's going to be quick increase, but it's negative, so it's going to open which way? Down, right? So it's open down and thin. Cool? So that's what A does. Let's talk about H. So if H is greater than 0, that means H is positive, right? So when I subtract a positive number, it's -3, right? When I did -2 here, what direction did my parabola go in? When I went -2, what direction did it go? To the right, to the right. So if H is positive, like 3, when I plug it in, I get -3. So is -3 going to send it to the right or the left? To the right. So this is to the right. What if H is less than 0? So if it's negative, right?
To the left.
It's going to send it to the left, right? Because if we plug in a negative number like -3, what's a -3? Positive 3, right? It's going to send it to the left. Like a positive 2. Right? So negative number in here negates it, becomes positive, and positive sends it to the left. What if H equals 0? Because that's the only thing we didn't cover, right? We did greater than 0, less than 0. What about if it is 0? What if H is 0? Yeah, it just stays in the middle, right? No change. From our basic one, f of x equals x squared, right? It stays in the middle. All right, let's talk about k. If k equals 0, so we get just x squared plus nothing, then it's just our regular function, right? So no change. What about when k is greater than 0? So it's a positive number. What happens? It goes up, right? It's our y-intercept, right? So if it's a positive 4, it's going to be x squared plus 4, so x squared, but 4 up, right? It's go up. And then I bet you can guess what happens when k is negative, less than 0. It's going to go down, right? Like -4 in front or behind there. All right, so now we know how to move it up and down. We know how to move it left and right. We also know how to make it thinner and wider. That's all the stuff we can change. We call these things parameters. Parameters are variables that change things, okay? X and Y are variables that we're used to using, right? That has to do with the coordinate plane, right? Parameters are other things like A's and H's and K's and B's and X's, or P's and L's, right? Those are typically things that change the shape of something. X and Y, that's like the points themselves. Does that make sense? So these are our parameters A, H, and K. We said we had a vertex, right? The vertex is the bottom of the parabola, or sometimes the top, right, when it's negative, right? It's that point where it comes together. Turns out the vertex is whatever your H and K are. That makes sense. Because if H is this, then our vertex is here, right? No change up or down, but a change 2 to the right. 2 is the number we plugged in. So the vertex will be at 2, 0, which it is. Here we plugged in -2 and then we negated it, right? So it became positive. So our vertex should be at -0. Here, our vertex was nothing for H, and then -4 for the Y, right? So our vertex is down here at 0, -4. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get our Desmos using this. We're going to play a game. Go to Desmos. Here's what you're going to type in. Newbies, you're going to get help from people that are not newbies. Here it is. I'm going to create a class code and you're going to type it in. Here is the class code, right there. So go to student.desmos.com and type that in. I'll put it back up in just a second. I want to get rid of this. There it is. I know. I'm going to put it back up in a second.
Or you could just write it on the board.
What's this?
You have so many tabs open.
I know. What's wrong with that? Nothing exactly. All right.
Didn't mean to trigger.
I know. There we go.
This one. This one's a different track.
HZ Student.desmos.com. When you're in Make a Name, it needs to be mildly school appropriate. Yes, mildly.
Nice.
Mildly. Remember, we use no slurs of any kind. Kate, if you want to team up with somebody, you
That's
can.
literally. It's just my name spelled wrong. It always says my name is spelled wrong. And then there's just me. I don't even know. CJ Leas. But I hate you.
Because of the lights?
What? No.
Oh, you weren't talking to me, okay.
No, she's talking to me. I hate you.
What?
I'm just like, oh, okay.
I would never verbally say that I hate you because you know my grades.
Well, yeah.
Eh. Part of them.
If I gave F's to everybody I hated, no one would pass my class. Alright? I hate you all equally. Remember that.
Wrong. You know,
All right.
at least there's a constant.
So, we got some people. We got Papa, all caps,
B.
My,
Mimi.
Mimi, and then Ethan, all lowercase. You don't have to admit to who you are. In fact, what I would do is I would name myself Ethan even if I wasn't Ethan.
Why?
Big Jalopy. We all know who that is. Obvious. Jeez.
Schloffer's nickname.
Schlopper's Big Jalopy?
Yeah, that's what he used to get called in
That makes sense.
like 3rd grade.
That makes sense. Loud.
Or he used to get called Cheeseburger.
Alright, we only have 4 people. Come on, where are the rest of you guys?
We're getting there.
Come
Me
on!
and Ethan are working together.
Well, we got 3 back here, so.
Did you tell her?
That's right.
I'm
Shamba!
See?
What?
Good idea.
Wait a minute.
Good idea.
Slow.
We when I worked at my old school a couple schools ago, it'd be me and the art teacher because I used to teach music. And we'd be in a meeting together, and our cool principal would be like, "Let's get everybody in with a name, and we can submit questions during the meeting." And I'm just like, "Why don't we just raise our hand?" Fair enough. You knew you, right? And so we'd enter our names, and I'd pretend to be the art teacher, and I'd ask the stupidest questions just constantly. How do I? Where am I? What? Because he's super old. I was like, where am I? Why is it?
Leaked water.
I know, man. Yeah, is this Facebook? Are you my grandson? Are you my
grandson? I hate that.
And he'd be like, I swear it's not me. And I just do like, hey. Shout out to Mr. Reed. All right.
That would be.
All right, we've got Lexi. Could be anyone. Do I have everybody?
No, not yet.
Oh my god.
Patience is a virtue.
It is, but like,
What
how
if
much
he doesn't
time?
have? CJ.
How much time do we have?
Adam.
No, CJ.
Time to sign in.
Clearly, this is.
Mr. Mackel, I didn't know you were in here.
Nice, except I spelled my name correctly. MC anally. That's how you spell it. That's how you spell it. Capital A. There's no way around it, guys. If I was a rapper, I would be MC anally.
You flipped him for the
MC.
song. Just
Master of
embrace
ceremonies. Yeah, my people changed their name to MC instead of MC or MAC in order to avoid persecution. Little did they realize that MCA is way worse than MAC. All right, so are we good? Can I get rid of this now? Looks like we've got 7 participants. All right, here we go. So first thing, for each match my parabola challenge, plot a parabola that passes through the given points. Continue the next screen. Here we go. Here's your challenge. I want you to put a parabola through these points. Go for it. Yes, I Chromebooks either. I'll give you the class code, okay? Oh, class code's right there. So student.desmos.com, right? Class code. All right, so the hint is try typing y equals x squared. Duh. Done. Oops. That's a plus sign. No shift for that. All right, you can also do f of x equals x squared, right? Because this is a function, so that would work. To do squared, remember shift 6 gets you the caret key, and that puts you in exponent mode, right? Oh, he on X game mode. All right, so that's that. Next challenge. Mortals.
Don't.
All of them. All of them. Do it. Do it.
What if I don't want to?
We're doing this tomorrow, all day for a grade.
For
So
a grade?
better get started now.
Do you like my screeching?
Yes.
And then batteries, do you have a charger? No. Like a Chromebook charger? I do not.
I got you. I think. I don't know whose this is, but they left it. Yeah, doing this on your phone is no bueno.
Yeah, it won't.
If you want, we can like hook you up
I don't
right
need
here.
it either. Yeah, I told you.
Got a new one. I don't know how yours did it.
Oh, it's up there in the top left corner. BHCSD8.
Alright.
Or 8HCSD8. I just spelled my acronym, guys.
Oh wait, no, this is
Student.desmos.com, and there's the code.
Alright. How do I get into she's not sure.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you can make it any name you want, including another person's, including me. Just no slurs of any kind.
And spell his name right.
Yeah, and if you're going to be me, spell my name right. Get chumps.
I will next time.
Gentlemen, how we doing back there? Brad? Go. 3's a hard group to put together, so make sure all 3 of you are contributing and knowing what's going on, okay?
Hi, I would like you.
And if not contributing, asking questions at least, right? Make sure you know what's up, right? That's the point.
It's not working.
So notice all of these parabolas have the same width, right? So we're not going to be changing the A value, because the A changes how wide or how, right? We're just going to be changing location stuff. We're changing H and K. Remember H and K, H is on the inside of the parentheses, and K is on the outside, kind of like a y-intercept, right? So those are the 2 values you're going to play with.
Hi, it didn't work.
Student.desmos.com.
Not that.
Oh, you're just trying different things?
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, obviously you can guess and check, and I want you to do that. But if you're guessing and checking, and you're just like, oh, well, that works. I don't know why, but I got it, right? That's not learning. If you guess and check, and you're able to be like, I think this is what's going on, you're able to figure it out, that's fine. But if you're guessing and checking, it's like, well, it worked. Raise your hand and I'll tell you why it did, okay? So you can actually learn. Shift 6 jalop, so you get a carrot.
Big jalop, you're the winner.
No, see this one.
And then
Just die.
remember, shift 6 gets you the carrot key, gets you to X game mode.
Yeah, we got it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're gonna have to reveal who you are. Are you ready to reveal who you are?
Yes.
All right, which one are you?
Big, I don't know.
Hugh Jass?
No.
We'll do it live? Ah, nice. Whoever came up with that one, that's good.
No, it's big jalop.
Big jalopy. Let's take a gander. Oh, yeah. That's hot. That's hot.
Oh, I'm done.
That's hot. All right, so check it out. Blue is the same as red, right? So it's both x squared, just regular x squared, but it's 3 higher, so plus 3, right? Green is the same as red, but it's moved 4 to the right, so they put a -4 inside here. Remember, +4, when you plug it in, gets negated to become -4 with the formula, right? So +4 to the right, you need to put in a -4 here, okay? Then this is the same thing, except it's over on -4. Did I hit a key? I think I hit something.
Oh my goodness.
No, this is Big Jalopy. What happened? What'd you do?
You clicked on the thing, so it's only showing.
I got
Check
it.
my work. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is over on -4, so it's going to be +4, right? On the inside. This is the same as red, but it's down 3, so -3 on the outside, right? Outside numbers the y-intercept, right? Like y equals something supposed to be, right? And then inside numbers are left and right. How's everybody feeling about that?
Pink is so.
If you didn't get it, that's fine. Do you see it now? Yeah? Demery, do you see why that works?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was putting it in the wrong space.
That's the key. Yeah, we're just trying to figure this out.
Glasses.
Let's go to challenge number 3.
There's more?
Oh, there's more.
Oh.
All right, so the question is, consider these graphs. Eric thinks the equation y equals the quantity of x minus 3 squared. Remember, quantity is how we say parentheses, right? Will match the blue graph. Jenny thinks it will match the red graph. Who is right? Put your votes. Eric or Jenny? Text now. Vote for your American Idol.
No.
This is the voice. All right. You
That
think I could get a job doing it at the beginning? That'd be great.
I think you would.
I'm your host, Derek McAnally. I used to be a music teacher.
You should not quit your
I would
job.
watch it. I would retire just for that.
That's right.
Just for Mr. McNally.
And then I turn it off, probably.
Do some singing for us.
Oh.
All right. Left one or right one? That's what we're thinking. Think about what that -3 inside the parentheses will do.
Hey, look at mine.
This represents a common misconception.
Oh, it's gonna be red.
Hey, Matt,
Look at ours.
do you have that quiz that I took like 2 weeks ago, and then there was a week I didn't show up, and then I came back?
Maybe, yeah.
Eric?
Yeah, you gotta hit that button. Yeah, we gotta retake that.
Redo it.
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
not getting this right.
All right, here's what we got.
Hi, I got it wrong.
We got 4v4.
I got
4
it
students
wrong.
are saying Eric, 4 are saying Jenny.
Jenny.
I got it wrong.
Yeah, he did.
Ooh, if you plug in 3 for x, then it will equal 0, which will even out. So Jenny
Jenny.
is saying if you plug in 3 for x, if you plug in 3 here, 3 minus 3 gets a 0. So 3 for x gets a 0 for y. Does that make sense? So 3 comma 0 must be a coordinate. 3 comma 0 is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny. Who said that? Let's check that out. Huge ass. Well done, huge ass. All right.
Yeah, are we still live?
Oh, we're live. Yeah.
Oh God.
All right. So
Huge ass live.
Whoever's just now turning in. Hi.
it's red. That's right. So red is the correct answer. Good explanation.
Mr. McNally.
You're welcome. Then I
Scroll up.
Are you positive?
I think so.
What's your name?
Oh.
Scroll down. You mean?
No, I need to see the code. Yeah.
Oh, H H H
Yeah.
ZSD8.
Wow,
I procrastinated till the very last second.
Yeah, it's okay. Work on this tonight for homework. If you want, we're gonna do it in class tomorrow as well. Let's look at 5. So it turns out, look, answer Jenny, the right side. Jenny. I love you, Jenny.
Stop running.
You better not go.
All right, here we go. All right, so now you'll notice that you want to use the black dot as your vertex. So all the parabolas are going to go through the black dot. The difference is where they go after that. Okay? So that orange one is the same width as this pretty much, but it's opening down. So I would try to just get the same thing here and have it open down. So red is 3x squared. So how do I make that open downward?
Just put a negative.
Yeah, right? So let's try it. Y equals negative 3x squared. Let's check our work.
Yeah.
Ooh, close but not quite, right? So the width is slightly different.
Put a half. Or no.
Close.
2.9. 2.9.
2. 2 is solid. Now we're going to learn how to check that for real, because obviously, like, 1.9, you'd probably be like, oh, that works, right? It's probably close enough, right? How do we know if 2 is exact? Well, let's think about it. When we plug in 1, we expect negative 2 to come out, right? That's what that means. So when I plug in 1, 1 squared is 1, right? Times negative 2. Yeah. When I plug in 1, negative 2 comes out. So that's exactly right. Do you guys see that? I'm going to go over that again.
Okay.
How did I know the width was 2, right? That I needed a negative 2 here, not a negative 1.9 or something, right?
Correct.
Here's how you know. This coordinate is at 1, 2, meaning that when I plug in 1 for x, I should get 2 for y. When I plug in 1 here, 1 squared is 1, times negative 2 is negative 2. So 1 does get me negative 2 when I use this formula, right? If I use 1.9, negative 1.9, it looks like it goes through it. But if I use negative 1.9, right? Still looks like it goes through it, but we know it's not right because this should be 1 gets us negative 2. This is 1 gets us negative 1.9 now, right?
How do I make it a fraction?
Division bar?
Slash.
Thank
It's
you, Rachel.
slash key, yeah.
I got it.
So that's correct. Question.
Oh, I got that right.
A is the number in front of x squared, right? The number in front of x squared. So for this, A is negative 2. Will A be bigger or smaller for the blue parabola? The number in front of x squared, right? Like this one's negative 2, right? Will A be bigger or smaller for the blue parabola than the red parabola? Red parabola has 3. Will the blue parabola have a bigger A or a smaller A?
Bigger A.
We have bigger.
Smaller?
Why bigger?
Just to guess.
Any better? Yes.
Actually smaller.
Just one.
For the orange one that we put in like -3, it made it like go in, so then on the top of it, make
Right.
it smaller.
Yeah, the negative has to do with up or down, right? The 3 has to do with how steep it is, right? If we square a number and then times it by 3, that number's gonna be bigger than just squaring it, right? So it's gonna be growing faster, so it's gonna be thinner, right? This grows quickly because 1, when you plug it in, isn't just gonna get us 1 anymore when we square it. It's gonna get us 3 after we multiply by 3, right? So it's gonna be 3 times bigger than what it was, so it's gonna grow a lot faster. This is growing slowly. So it's gonna be a number that's less than 3, right? Maybe like 2, or I don't know. Looks like when we plug in 5, we're expecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Gotta stay one.
So what would the equation be if when we plug in 5, we get 5? Well, we plug in 5 normally. 5 squared is 25, so that's not it.
Is it different?
Plug in 5, we get 5.
Is ours different? Is ours bad?
Let's take a look, see what we got.
Big
Big jalopy, you're gonna look at yours?
Sure.
Come on.
All right, here we go. Ooh, pretty.
Did we get it?
All right, so it looks like for orange, they nailed it, right? When you plug in 1, you get negative 2. When you plug in 1 here, you do get negative 2. For green, we were expecting when we plug in 2, we should get negative 4, right?
I got it.
So go to green. 2 squared is 2. Or I'm sorry, 4, right? And then times negative 1 is negative 4. So yeah, 2 gets us negative 4. That's good.
It's so hard to get it.
Let's look at perps. Ooh, the problem with purple. What's the problem, guys?
It's
Decimal.
backwards.
It's backward. It doesn't go through the black dot. Vertex has to be on the black dot. And they didn't do blue yet.
Mine's right.
I thought you wanted us to have to go through something.
All right. Who are you?
I'm the one who you misspelled name.
Oh, wonderful.
I tried to be.
That's okay. You were smart. All right. So check them out. Check out her purple. Purple is negative 1, 6. So when we plug in 3, we should get negative 1.5, right? 3 is 3 squared, that's 9. 9 divided by 6, that's 1.5, right? That's 9 over 6, which reduces to 3 over 2. So that's negative 1.5. Nailed it. Well done.
I'm proud of myself.
The blue, when we plug in 5, we get 5. 5 squared is 25, times a fifth is 5. Well done. Does everybody see why those work? When we plug in 5, we expect to get 5. Cool, cool, cool.
I'm proud of myself.
Well done, I'm proud of you too. Let's do challenge number 4.
I'm gonna cry.
Ooh, tricky. Parabola that goes through those. Vertex has to be here. Remember, your vertex tells you what your H and K have to be, right? 4 to the right and 2 down. 4 to the right and 2 down is where we want our parabola to start.
Sorry, don't worry, no headache.
Yeah? You passed it. To retake or to do the... You already
I'm
did.
dumb,
I
CJ.
think I have a copy of it made. I did or did not?
I've been trying out
No, I'm not in the class. I need a pass too.
Sorry. I'll see you guys later.
Ethan, are you coming?
Oh my gosh, bro.
Why not?
Beat it, nerd.
Oh my gosh.
Mr. Mac, can
Yo.
I stay in here till the bell rings? Because I don't want to deal with my homeroom teacher, and most specifically also my health teacher.
Okay.
Let me get specific.
Yeah.
I don't know what comes down.
I'm not even with you.
All right. You need a pass as well, Mitchell?
Yeah.
This is pretty hard. Really, I have to do it
Can I get a pass too?
Yep. Are you both in the same homeroom or no?
No.
Mitchell, what's your last name? Mitch Johnson.
Yes.
I had to think about your last name for a while. I don't know why. All right, Tickler.
You said today was a good day to come in for homeroom.
Yep. I mean, a lot of people are coming in, but yes.
I'm leaving my stuff.
Because I was confused about today's. Well, for like part of it, and I just gave up.
Oh, the stuff we're doing right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see my stuff right there.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you need a pass for homeroom? Or no?
Depends. Because
All right, you want.
it's up to you. Because somebody else was saying that you're doing a review that we ended up doing.
That's right. It's there if you want it. It's gonna be crazy in here. We're gonna have a lot of people, but yeah.
It's okay.
Thursdays are always crazy because of quiz next day.
I mean, it's well different.
It's up to you.
So, why does it smell like syrup in here?
I don't know.
Can I get a pass?
Yo, you think you're just gonna take my seat like that, Kayla?
Dude, I gotta do my stuff. Oh, man. So I thought and pass. Jenna said we're not staying that training. Jenna said we're not.
I was gonna send you stuff, right?
Wait, how'd you get it?
When I was driving this morning, I just told us that we need to go to my house. There's my pen.
So we don't need to go to your house anymore?
No, we don't. We need to fly.
This is Max pen?
Hmm?
This is Max pen?
Yeah, go right.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
No, don't throw those.
This is almost like a game. And I got good tosses. Honestly, I bet if your one pocket was open, it would have made it in there.
Probably.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
Do you have any bleach?
Any bleach?
Yeah.
I don't, sorry.
Dang.
Give me a pen.
Is it OR or ER? Yeah.
It usually takes Max and Scar though, so if it's there, it's not working. So when you try to pass that on me.
Okay. I'll be with all you guys in just a second. I gotta print some stuff out for retakes.
It's not shouting me like it was last semester.
Yeah, it will be next quarter though.
Well, actually.
And there's gonna be a ton of people coming in as well today. I'll be with you guys in a second. I'm making version 2s for the Algebra 1 quiz.
Oh.
It's not him, it's my brother's and his brothers. Yeah. I have two siblings.
Hey, what up?
Hello. Yeah. Riley, did she make you finish your English in class? Yeah. But some people didn't.
I think I already made a version 2 of this.
What is popping, bro?
Hey.
Howdy there. How are you there?
I'm alright.
How are you?
I'm actually pretty good.
That's wonderful.
All right, I got a version 2. Who needs a version 2 algebra quiz? Like they're ready to retake right now.
Consecutive McCartney days.
We're back to 0.
I'm taking a picture of that and sending it to his girlfriend.
That's right.
Hi, Miss Bechtel.
How are we doing?
Hi, Kayla.
We got errors or no?
No, I have my name.
Great.
I told you, I wrote in this, make sure that they do
All the parts, yeah.
that. And the reading was in contact, and it's marked, and that certain ones they had to watch to see what was being asked to find.
Right, exactly. Yep.
And then the last two, the answers had to be written in the
Good team. You were awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Shanna back here. Hi.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I just scared
Tell me
you.
what you find out. What do you think?
Why? Because I was trying to keep CJ from smashing.
Yeah.
Well, smash her first. Okay, here's this part. Well, okay, all of his hair plays. Okay.
All right. Well, I won't see you tomorrow, so have a good weekend, okay?
What's in your head?
All right. Thanks again. All right. So we got people in here for algebra test quiz number 1 review, correct?
Yeah.
That's what you need help with.
Do you have your hair tied?
And then I've also got people that are retaking Algebra 1 quiz, and that's just you, Jordan, right? Are you retaking as well? All right, I printed out a couple. You're not ready to retake yet? You will be after we review. You've reviewed. If you're retaking, can you sit in the back? If you need to review, move forward. Geometry people, do we have anybody in here to review quiz 1?
Jordan, you don't have anything else?
Meaning side, angle, side, and all that. No? Just here to review for tomorrow.
I'm gonna retake the
You want to retake the first. Are you ready to retake? Yeah, that's fine. I'll print you a version 2.
I'm the sixth one.
My English is bad. So
Okay, that's cool. Let me find you version 2.
Mr.
Geometry
Matt?
quiz 1, version 2.
Mr. Matt?
Yeah.
Do you have a rubber band?
No, I do not. At least I'm not aware that I am. Hopefully the printer is working. If it's not, that can be bad. Sorry.
Hair tie in return.
Hi, Landry. Oh, hi, Mark.
It's really thick, but I promise it works amazing.
3 C's. All right. If you're not in here to do stuff, you either sit on the side or in the back. What are you guys here for?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, I. Yes. Yes. Why did I bring the?
Oh, you're just working on it?
Yes.
You don't need me, though?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. About time, huh? Come on. That priority registration. Request priority registration. What are you taking out? All right. All right. Printer should be working. Not
Yes, I am. It's not gonna be hot, so it's gonna be like older.
reviewing for tomorrow, right?
No.
No, you're retaking. You're reviewing for tomorrow. Is anybody else reviewing for tomorrow's quiz? Yes. The geometry.
I said do my
All right.
Hey, that's big.
I know. You two are doing algebra, right?
Yes.
Am I helping you or no? Not yet. You guys good? Kayla, you're good? Tucker, you're good? I'm good. All right. So it's just you 3. So your algebra, your geometry. So here's what we're gonna do. Can you guys stay after school or can you not?
I can't.
You cannot. All right. She definitely can't. She's been in here before. So I'm gonna review with her and get her started, and then we'll talk about you guys. Do you guys have your review guides for that quiz? Look for them.
Is it this one? Right,
Quiz 1 review.
right here.
I did big stuff.
And then also, do you need a quiz 1 review, Mitchell?
I have the copy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I do.
All right, rad. Go find your quizzes in the back too. Go check the bin and find your quizzes. Let's figure out which ones you got wrong, which ones you need help with.
I got all of them wrong.
Okay, if it's all of them, that's fine.
I got the first 2.
I have the first 3.
I got all of them wrong. So
What one do you want to work on, Macy?
It's not more so I want to like work on it. I just feel like I feel like I missed the days when we learned the proof, so I don't really know what I'm like.
What is Napoleon?